Miss Hickson's 5th grade class.
Today is Wednesday, September 21st, the 35th day of school.
We are glad that you are here today and hope that you have left your average at home around the bus and you are ready to have a respectful and responsible day.
Ready means being in the right place at the right time with the right stuff.
Respectful means treating others the way you want to be treated.
And responsible means doing your job with a smile on your face and giving perfect effort.
Speaking of responsibility, our first responsibility is to be ready to show our respect for the rights we have in this school and this country.
We do this by daily saying the Pledge of Allegiance, the school pledge, and doing a moment of silence.
To show respect, we say the pledge, we stop what we're doing, stand up and put our hand over our heart like this, and say the pledge loudly, clearly, and with pride.
Would you please stand for the pledge and remain standing for the Kennedy School Pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the Kennedy School Pledge.
I pledge myself as a Kennedy Dragon to be ready for the day ahead of me. I will be respectful of myself, my teachers, and all others I meet throughout the day. I promise to be responsible for myself, my actions, and my learning. I'll work my hardest to be the best dragon I can be.
Please reflect silently on your day, your activities, and what you hope to accomplish.
My name is Haven.
And my name is Kevin.
Another responsibility that we have is to try to keep each other safe by slowing down the spread of germs.
We do this by strictly washing our hands. When we wash your hands, we want to use soap and water and alcohol-based hand sanitizer.
When we wash our hands, we want to get all parts of our hands. The palms of our hands, the backs of our hands, in between our fingers and our fingers, plus our wrists and our thumbs.
When we wash your hands, we want to do it for at least 20 seconds, so let's wash our hands.
Done the pledges and Mauro Salud. Let's get started with our birthdays.
Happy birthday today to Rafino Galagos, who is 6, Zachary Donation, who is 9, Austin Acosta, who is 5, and Thomas Lancaster, who is 5.
Please make sure that you come to the media center to get your birthday ribbon. Our next responsibility each morning is to make our lunch choice.
For lunch today, we are supposed to be having chicken nuggets with roll, mashed potatoes, grape tomatoes, and pineapple tidbits.
If you don't want chicken nuggets, you can always get PB&J or muffin and yogurt.
County School is doing Principal of the Day. This is an opportunity for business leaders in Barrow County to see what is going on in our schools so they can better understand how to support education in Barrow.
Today, Mr. Turley will be with Mr. Victor today, so when you see them, make sure to say hello and show them what ready, respectful, and responsible looks like. In the month of September, we are focusing on the character shown an attribute of respect.
We always say respect means treating others the way you want to be treated.
But it also means seeing the value in all people and all things and treating them with care.
As we focus this month on respect, we are going to share with you examples of being respectful by
listening, being a friend, resolving conflict, and seeing others' perspective by being a leader.
Good morning, Kennedy Dragon students. You may know me as Louie's dad from Trumpet of the Swan by E.B. White, the book that you are reading now. I am here in this beautiful, gorgeous Swan Lake in Red Rocks, Montana, to bring you some examples of being respectful. And of course, I am here with my desirable, beautiful wife, Cygnus Buchanator. Oh, thank you, Cobb. And yes, we are here in the beautiful Red Rocks Lake, and I am here with my very bloviating vocabulary or husband the cob. Yes, we are here to share with you some examples of being respectful by listening and being a good friend. Yes, of course, as you've been reading the story, you will know that I have been respectful by listening to my wife and getting a trumpet for our son Louis because he cannot talk. Yes, husband, you have listened, but it took you a long time before you listened because you were too busy talking and not listening. But you did listen. Oh, yes, my wife, I did listen, and I got our son a trumpet so he can have a voice. And that is an example of being respectful by listening. You guys continue reading Trumpet of the Swan. Yes, continue reading Trumpet of the Swan.
Thank you, Kaden. Students also don't forget September Family Reading Challenge. We're sent home.
If you send in pictures of your family doing one of the 3 challenges this month, or post it on your Facebook page with the hashtag KESStrong respect.
You will earn 30 Dragon Points and be entered into the drawing for the family prize. Thank you, Kaden. Now it's time for our morning message.
Please make sure you are being a respectful listener to Adina and JC as they bring us the morning message.
Good morning, Kennedy Elementary School. This is JC
And Adina.
with a few words of wisdom.
When people are greedy, they want more than their fair share. They just keep wanting more and more and more.
How many of you have heard Apophis' fable about the dog and his reflection? It's a story about a little dog who lost everything because he was acting greedy. First, the bad dog steals a steak from the butcher's wagon, then he runs into the woods to hide. He reaches a bridge crossing a clear still pond. The water is so still it's like a big mirror. The greedy little dog looks down and sees his own reflection and thinks it's another dog with a big steak in his mouth. Being the greedy dog that he is, he decides he wants that steak too. So he jumps into the water and drops his steak, which falls to the bottom of the pond.
So what's the moral of this story? Be careful not to lose what you have because you are greedy for more. Instead, be grateful for all that you have.
With something to think about, this is JC.
And Adina.
Make it a great day or not, the choice is yours, y'all.
That is all the announcements we have for the day.
Please help Mr. Butcher, Mr. Nooper, and your teachers keep us safe, which is their job.
By being a ready, respectful, and responsible student who's focused on graduating in the year.
Because when you're ready, respectful, and responsible student who is focused on graduating, you are boldly committed to student success.
I'm Peyton.
I'm Meritu. Have an
It's time
awesome
for our read aloud of the day. Today's read aloud is The Orange Shoes. The author is Trinka Hakes Noble, and the illustrator is Doris Etlinger. This is a character strong recommended book. So it emphasizes our character strong trait of respect. Respect is finding value in all things and people and treating them with care. We know that as treating others the way you want to be treated. So as I read, be thinking about how examples of respect in this book. Also going to try to model what good readers do. Read the book fluently, which means I'll read the words correctly at a good pace, not too fast, not too slow, and with expression. And this is also a good time for you to practice what good readers do, listening for the characters, who or what the story's about, the setting, where and when it's taking place, and the sequence of events. What happens first, next, last. Also look for the plot and the problem and the solution. So here we go. The Orange Shoes. There's our cover. There's our title page. Title page always has where it's published and by the publishing company. October's here and I still don't have new shoes. So I walk a mile to school in my bare feet. But that's fine with me because I love the feel of our dirt road under my feet. The sandy places and the dried mud places and the smooth places after the road scraper's gone through. I was happy going barefoot until one day. Prudy Winfield said only poor kids went barefoot, and come cold weather, I'd get frostbite and my toes would turn black and ugly and fall off. Then I couldn't walk to school, so I'd get dumber and poorer. And if I had any kids, they'd get even dumber and poorer than me. That's what Prudy Winfield said. Then one day our teacher, Miss Violet, made an announcement. Girls and boys, she smiled, next week is Harvest Festival and all your families are invited. We'll have our usual pumpkin carving and pumpkin parade, but this year we're going to do something special. I'm asking the older students to put on a shoebox social to raise money for school art supplies. I didn't know what a shoebox social was, but I knew about art because I had been drawing ever since I could remember. True, I didn't have any real art supplies at home, but I had a stubby pencil I liked even though its eraser was missing, and I'd made my own sketchbook out of old envelopes. You just open them up flat and sew them together. There's a lot of good clean paper inside of a used envelope just waiting to be drawn on. Since I didn't have an eraser, I'd practiced drawing in my head first, and that made my drawings real works of art. So not having an eraser was a good thing, just like not wearing shoes is a good thing. Or how else are you going to get to know how soft and smooth and silky the dirt is? Now, Prudy Winfield had 11 pencils with fat pink erasers just oozing out of her neat wooden pencil case, which was right under my nose since we shared a desk. And she had lots of shoes, too. Today, she had on shiny patent leather shoes. Miss Violet, what's a shoebox social? Prudy asked as she slid her toe into a patch of sunlight to make her shoe dazzle. Well, Prudence, answered Miss Violet, who always used our real names, it's when a beautifully decorated box is packed with a supper and auctioned off at the highest bidder, and then the money goes for a good cause. But our shoebox social will be more fun because each of you will stand behind the curtain when your box is up for auction and stick out just your shoe so the families have a clue as who you are. Then you will eat dinner with whomever buys your box. Sounds like a good idea. Now I'm counting on you older students to work hard on your boxes, Miss Violet continued, and your mothers can help with the food. Prudy Winfield pointed her toe like a ballet dancer and gloated, I think I'll get a new pair of shoes for the shoebox social. What about you, Deli? Then she leaned towards me and jeered, Gonna wash your feet for the occasion? Right then something lurched in the pit of my stomach, shot up to my chest and clutched tight at my heart. It started to hurt, and it didn't let up for the whole day, not even when Miss Violet asked me sweetly, Adela, would you clean the chalk erasers today? So we know who our characters are, we know what the setting is, we know the plot so far. That night at supper, we had my favorite, cornmeal mush drizzled with warm maple syrup. It made me feel a bit better, so I decided to tell Mommy and Daddy about the shoebox social. Then I was going to ask for a new pair of shoes, but Daddy started talking about tires for his truck. The old ones can't be patched anymore, he said, looking seriously at Mama. But Deli needs new shoes before winter, her being the oldest, Mama fretted. All I had to do was look at my 4 younger brothers and sisters and see all my old shoes. But if I can't get to work, we can't buy groceries, said Daddy. Now, which is more important, food on the table or new shoes on Deli's feet? Mama didn't answer. I guess Daddy's truck needed new shoes more than I did. After supper, I told Mama about the shoebox social, and in the night I heard their voices floating softly up the stairs. And on Saturday we went to town. On Main Street was Sussman's department store, which sold just about everything, including shoes and tires. And right there in the front window, perched on a pedestal, were the most beautiful pair of girls' shoes I had ever seen. And they were orange, a creamy orange, like the soft side of a pumpkin where it lays in the garden dirt. I knew they'd fit, yet they'd never be mine. Too much money. But the looking was free. Then Daddy came along. What you got your interest in there, Deli? He asked. I just pointed to those soft orange shoes. Then Daddy looked away. Far, far away. I don't know how Daddy did it, but the next morning those orange shoes were by my bed. I slipped them on, fastened each strap with a pearl button, and flew downstairs. Daddy, how'd you ever? What about your new tires? I squealed. I got by with just 2 new ones, so there was some leftover money, he said. Then he handed me my old brown shoes that he'd patched up with the old tires and beamed at my new orange shoes. I guess the Porter family will be going to the shoebox social on Friday night. There never was a better daddy than mine. On Monday morning, I did something I shouldn't have. I took my new orange shoes to school, just to show the girls and only at recess. So I hid them under a hazelnut bush at the edge of the schoolyard. At recess, the boys ran to play baseball in Elder Browning's hayfield, while the girls stayed to play on the swings. I quickly slipped on my orange shoes and ran to the swings in an orange flash. "My daddy got them for me," I blurted out happily as the girls crowded around me. I thought my new shoes would make them happy too, but they didn't even smile. Suddenly, Prudy Winfield ground her foot right down on my toe. "Dirt poor deli porter can't even have better shoes than us," she said. She sneered. "Yeah," someone hissed at my other toe as my other toe got stomped. I tried to get away, but they chased after me, scraping and scruffing and scratching my new shoes till one pearl button flew off. Finally, Miss Violet rang the bell to line up. By the time I'd hidden my orange shoes and ran to the end of the line, my heart was hurting so bad that I thought it would never stop. Not very respectful. It was a long walk home from school that afternoon. I sneaked upstairs so Mama wouldn't see my wrecked shoes. I stared at them, every dirty crack, scrape, scratch, and scuff mark, till they blurred into my tears. My beautiful orange shoes were ruined. Everything was ruined. Everything. So I did the only thing that ever made me feel better. I reached for my envelope sketchbook to draw, but when I closed my eyes to draw first in my head, all I could see were my ruined shoes. So then I clenched my teeth and squeezed my eyes tighter and tighter until they stung, and all I saw was a greenish, purplish black. When I opened my eyes, things were out of focus. So I blinked, and suddenly right there on my shoes, just clear as day, I saw a tiny vine in one of the cracks. Then one scratch looked like a leaf, and a scuff mark looked like a pretty wild rose. Maybe, just maybe. I rushed downstairs and shouted excitedly, "Mama, we got any paint?" "I knew you'd be asking me that," Mama said quietly. That stopped me cold in my tracks. Did Mama know what happened? "I knew a good artist like you would want to get started decorating your box for the shoebox social," Mama answered, handing me the brown shoebox she'd saved from Sussman's department store. I don't know how Mama did it, but she made little dishes of paint. There was red from beet juice and yellow from goldenrod blossoms and brownish pink from onion skins and purple from turnip green peelings. Then she made 2 brushes and a quill pen from turkey feathers. "Mama, how'd you ever?" I exclaimed. "It's not hard if you know where to look," she smiled, and I knew just what she meant. There never was a better mama than mine. Every day after school, I painted pretty vines and flowers on my box, then painted the same designs on my shoes. By Friday, they were matched set except for the missing pearl button, but an artist knows where to look, so I ran out the dirt road, and right there I spied a tiny white pebble shaped just like a heart. I wound it in white thread and sewed it where the pearl button had been. There. Perfect. But Mama and Daddy still didn't know what had happened, so I put my shoes in a sack, pretending I didn't want them to get dirty, and wore my patched up shoes. It was a golden Indian summer evening, so we walked to the Harvest Festival to save gas. Our schoolhouse was decorated with pumpkins, corn stalks, and bright autumn leaves. Miss Violet had strung a curtain across the front like a stage. Elder Browning brought gallons of fresh cider and plenty of pumpkins for everyone to carve, and Mrs. Browning carried in a huge platter of applesauce donuts. Then Miss Violet hustled all the older girls and boys behind the curtain and handed our boxes out to Elder Browning, our auctioneer, who lined them up. Then she lined us up, putting Purdy first and me last. No one noticed when I slipped on my newly painted orange shoes. "Folks, this is for a good cause, so dig deep into your pockets," announced Elder Browning as he held up Purdy's pink polka-dotted box. "Who'll give me a quarter for this pretty box? Do I hear a quarter?" Prudy inched her white patent leather pink-bowed shoe under the curtain, and the bidding shot up, till Elder Browning shouted, "Sold for $1.90. Prudy looked down her snooty nose at the rest of us as to say, "Let's see if you can top that." The next box brought 71 cents, and the next one 53 cents, and then only 35 cents, and on till Miss Violet nervously bit her lip as she calculated the sums in her head. Finally, Elder Browning held up my box and gasped, This is a beauty, folks. The room hushed. Miss Violet looked at me, then at my shoes. Oh, Adela, she sighed and lightly placed her hands on my shoulder as I slid my toe under the curtain. In no time, the bidding raced to $1, then $25. Miss Violet squeezed my shoulders. I inched my toe out and some more, and then the bidding took off fast and furious. $1.50, $1.75, then $2. I had passed Purdy. Then $2.50, $2.85, all the way to $2.90. Elder Browning wiped his brow and panted. Do I hear $3? Any takers at $3? The room grew tense, silent. Folks held their breath. $3 was a fortune. Last chance, going once, going twice. Suddenly I heard my father speak in a strong, sure voice. I can manage $3, because to me that box is priceless, just like the girl who painted it. Elder Browning slammed down his gavel. Sold to Mr. Porter, a man who knows what to value. Then he opened the curtain and everyone applauded. As we stepped out, Miss Violet kept her hands on my shoulders, and it felt like as if we were one person. After we'd finished all the donuts, cider, and our box suppers, we carved the pumpkins. Then we had the pumpkin parade while Miss Violet and Elder Browning counted the money. If my penicillin is up to snuff, I think we have the final tally, folks, announced Elder Browning. Then he handed the total to Miss Violet, who looked straight at me and said importantly, I'd like Adela Porter to come forward, please. Miss Violet had me stand on a stool. It made me nervous standing so high in front of everyone, like I might tip over. She motioned for me to turn around on my toes so everyone could see my shoes and said, Friends, this is why our school needs art supplies for young artists like Adela. I don't know what got into me, but right then I pointed my toe like a ballet dancer and stuck it right in Prudy Winfield's face. But just for a second. And I'm pleased to announce that we've collected a grand total of $7.12. Folks started applause, but Miss Violet put up her hand for silence. And because of Adela's artistic talents and her father's generosity, each student can have their very own paint set. All the kids jumped up and cheered while Mama and Daddy nodded their approval. Then I just grinned from ear to ear. As we started to walk home down our dirt road, a harvest moon as big as a pumpkin rose over the cornfields. Suddenly, Daddy pulled off his shoes and socks and sang out, Last chance to go barefoot before winter sets in. So we all walked home barefoot, with Daddy laughing and Mama smiling, and me leading the way through all the sandy places and the dry mud places and the smooth places after the road scraper had gone through. And for a second, I felt sad that poor Prudy Winfield would never know what going barefoot was like. But only for a second. The Orange Shoes.